I am 70 years old, and there was a season of my life not so long ago when I stopped enjoying it. I did not decide to stop. Nobody decides. It happens the way evening happens, gradually, and then you look up and the light is gone. The food still fed me, but it did not taste like anything. The mornings still arrived, but they did not bring anything with them. The things that used to make me feel alive, the land, the work, the laughter, the small rituals of a day, they were all still there, and I walked past them like furniture. I was not sad exactly. Sad would have been something. I was flat, gray, going through the motions of a life that had quietly stopped being lived and started being managed. And if I'm describing your mornings right now, if you know exactly what I mean by the light going out of things while everything looks normal from the outside, then stay with me, because I found my way back. Not through medicine, though medicine has its place and I will never speak against it. Not through some vacation or purchase or change of scenery, through the old way. The way my people understood joy before the modern world redefined it, and in redefining it, lost it. Today I am going to give you that way. And I am going to start by telling you the single biggest lie you have been told about enjoying life. Because until that lie is removed, nothing else can grow. Here is the lie. The modern world taught you that enjoyment comes from events, big ones, the vacation, the celebration, the visit from the grandchildren, the special occasion. Joy, in the modern understanding, is a guest that arrives on scheduled days, and the rest of life is the waiting room. And so what does a person do when they get older and the events thin out? The trips get harder, the occasions get fewer, the visits get shorter and further apart. If joy only lives in events and the events are shrinking, then life becomes a long waiting room with fewer and fewer appointments. And that is exactly how most people over 60 are living, waiting for the next visit, the next holiday, the next scheduled reason to feel something. And between appointments, flat, gray, managing. My grandmother would have wept at that way of living, because in the old way, joy was never an event. Joy was a practice of attention. She used to say, "The Creator does not visit on holidays. The Creator visits every morning, and most people are too busy waiting for something bigger to answer the door." Her days were full of what the modern world would call nothing. She drank her tea slowly by the east window and watched the light come up every single morning. And it was not routine. Routine is doing a thing while your mind is elsewhere. This was ceremony. Ceremony is doing a thing with your whole self present. Same tea, same window, completely different life. She noticed which birds came. She noticed how the light was different in October than in June. She noticed the steam off the cup. And I used to think, as a young man, that she noticed these things because her life was small. I understand now that I had it exactly backwards. Her life was enormous because she noticed these things. She was rich in the only currency joy actually accepts: attention. And I was poor, rushing past 100 small wonders a day on my way to appointments that never delivered what they promised. I want to tell you about the morning I understood this, because it was one specific morning. It was during my own gray season. I had been flat for the better part of a year, and I was sitting with my coffee, not tasting it, running the usual worries, when I noticed a bird on the fence outside my window. Nothing rare. An ordinary bird on an ordinary fence. And for no reason I can name, I actually looked at it. Not glanced, looked. And I watched this bird for maybe 4 minutes, the way it turned its head, the way the wind moved its feathers, the way it did its small work of the morning with complete seriousness, as if being a bird on a fence was the most important job in the world, which, for that bird, it was. And somewhere in those 4 minutes, something in my chest moved for the first time in months. Not joy, exactly, more like the memory of joy, like a room in my inner house that had been locked so long I forgot it existed, and the door opened a crack, and light came through it. 4 minutes, a bird, a fence, and I sat there with tears on my face like an old fool, and I heard my grandmother's voice across 40 years saying what she always said when I was young and restless and blind. She used to say, "Slow down, grandson. You keep looking for your life. It is not lost. It is here. You are the one who is not. You are the one who is not." That sentence became my medicine. The life was never missing. The events were never the problem. I had been absent from my own days, and calling my absence boredom and blaming the days for it. That morning I stopped blaming the days, and I began the slow work of coming back. And that work, the coming back, is what I am going to teach you now, practice by practice. But first I need to say one thing clearly, because I am an elder and not a doctor, and an honest teacher knows the edge of his own territory. There is a grayness that is the soul being absent from its days, and that is what I am teaching about today. And there is a darkness that is deeper than that, a weight that does not lift no matter what you attend to, a darkness that tells you lies about whether you should be here at all. If that second thing is what you are carrying, then hear me. Go and talk to someone, a doctor, a counselor, a person trained for that terrain. There is no shame in it. My people always understood that some wounds need a healer, not just a practice. The strongest man I ever knew asked for help twice in his life, and both times it was the bravest thing I ever watched him do. The teachings I am about to give you are true, and they are powerful, and they rebuilt my own life, and they work best on ground that is safe to build on. Make sure your ground is safe, then build. Before I share the next teaching, I need to tell you something. I am not going to be here forever, and most of what I know was never written anywhere. So I sat down and I wrote it, all of it. 20 teachings, 4 parts, in the order they were meant to be received. The ones about finding the life inside your life. The ones about the ceremonies that turn gray days golden. The ones I have never said on camera. It is called the Native Way, and it costs less than one dinner you will not remember. Scan the code on your screen or look in the comments, but do not leave yet, because what I am about to tell you next is the exact practice that brought the taste back into my own life, step by step, and you can start it tomorrow morning. So here is the first practice of the Native Way. Take one thing you already do every day and turn it from routine into ceremony. Just one. Your morning coffee, your evening sit, the feeding of a pet, the watering of a plant. One thing. And here is the difference, spelled out plain. Routine is the coffee drunk while the television argues and your mind rehearses worries. Ceremony is the same coffee with the television off, in your one good chair, both hands on the warm cup, actually tasting it. 5 minutes, fully there. That is all ceremony is, presence poured into an ordinary act. And I can hear some of you thinking, that is too small. That cannot possibly fix a gray life. And you are right that it is small. So is a match. And a match lights what a whole cold fireplace cannot light itself. The gray life is not missing events. It is missing presence. And presence, like any strength, has to be rebuilt in small lifts. One ceremony a day. Do it for 2 weeks and something will begin happening that I cannot fully explain but have watched over and over. The noticing spreads. You start tasting other things, hearing other things. The world starts turning its colors back on, one corner at a time. Because the world never went gray. Your attention did. And attention, faithfully practiced on one small thing, heals outward like skin. The second practice is your hands. I want you to make something. And I do not care what, and I do not care whether it is any good. This is one of the deepest pieces of the old way, and the modern world has almost completely lost it. My people did not separate living from making. Everyone made things. Food, baskets, tools, clothes, songs. The making was not a hobby squeezed in around life. The making was how a person stayed in conversation with the world. And I want you to notice something about your gray season. I will bet almost anything that somewhere along the way you stopped making and became only a consumer. You watch what others made. You buy what others made. You scroll what others made. Consuming is eating without ever cooking. It fills you and leaves you empty at the same time. The joy circuit in a human being, and my grandmother knew this without any science, runs through the hands. Grow something. Cook something real. Fix something. Carve, sew, plant, build, write. The first attempts will be clumsy. Let them be clumsy. The joy is not in the quality of the thing. The joy is in what happens inside a person who shapes the world instead of only receiving it. A woman I knew started growing tomatoes in buckets on a small porch at 78. Buckets. A porch. And she told me that the morning she picked her first ripe tomato, she felt something she had not felt since her working years. She said, "I made that happen." 4 words. That is the medicine. I made that happen. The gray life says nothing I do matters. The hands, given something to make, argue back with evidence. And I will tell you what happened to that same woman 2 years later, because the story did not stop at the tomatoes. The buckets multiplied. The porch filled. Neighbors started noticing because a porch full of thriving plants is impossible not to notice. And one asked her for advice, and then another. And the woman who at 78 had been sitting in a gray apartment waiting for phone calls that came too rarely was, by 80, the person the whole street came to about their gardens. Children came to see the porch. A young mother 2 doors down started her own buckets under the old woman's instruction. And here is what I want you to see in that. She never set out to build any of it. She set out to grow 1 tomato. But making is like that. Making leaks. It spills out of the maker and into the world and draws the world toward it. Consuming is invisible. Nobody ever knocked on a door because of what someone was watching on television. But making shows. Making attracts. The garden, the carved birds, the quilts, the bread. Whatever your hands produce becomes a small lighthouse, and lighthouses gather ships. So when I tell you to make something, understand what I am really prescribing. I am not prescribing a hobby. I am prescribing a lighthouse. Your hands, given work, will light it, and you will be amazed at what comes in from the gray water toward that light. The third practice is the one that will surprise you, and I need you to hear it fully before you resist it. To enjoy life again, you must give some of it away. I know. You are tired. You have given your whole life. You are finally done giving, and here comes this old man telling you to give more. But listen to the difference. What exhausted you all those years was obligated giving. Giving because you had to, because it was expected, because no one else would do it, because saying no felt impossible. That giving drains a person to the bone, and I have made whole teachings about ending it. What I am talking about now is chosen giving. Small, free, unowed. And it is not for them, it is for you. Because here is a truth about human beings that the old people knew and the lonely modern world keeps rediscovering in its studies. A person cannot feel useless and joyful at the same time. It is not possible. The two cannot share a room. And much of the grayness that settles on people after 60 is not depression at all. It is the ache of usefulness with nowhere to go. You spent decades being needed, and then the needing stopped, and everyone told you to enjoy your rest, and nobody told you that a human being with no one to pour into starts to evaporate. So pour somewhere, small, chosen, on your terms. Read to children at a library one morning a week. Feed one neighbor. Teach one person one thing you know, and you know more than you think. The size does not matter. The direction matters. A river with no outlet turns to swamp. The old people knew this. It is why the elders always had a role, always had someone to teach, something to tend. Not because the tribe needed the labor, because the elder needed the flow. I knew a man who proved this to me beyond all argument. He had been a machinist for 40 years, precise hands, proud work. And retirement took the work, and over about 3 years took the man. He grayed out the way I have been describing, sat in the house, watched the television argue, waited for visits. His wife told me she was watching him disappear 1% at a time. And then one day, by pure accident, a boy from down the street knocked on the door because his bicycle chain had come apart, and he had seen the old man's garage full of tools. 10 minutes. That is all it took to fix the chain. But the man told me later that those 10 minutes were the first 10 minutes in 3 years that he had felt like himself. His hands remembered. His knowledge mattered. A human being needed what he had. And the boy, being a boy, told other boys. And within a year, that garage had become the place where the neighborhood kids brought broken things. Bicycles, a wagon, a fishing reel, and the man came back to life. Not partially, fully. His wife said it was like someone turned his pilot light back on. And here is the part that matters most. Nothing about his circumstances changed. Same house, same age, same body, same pension. The events of his life did not improve. The flow returned. That was the entire difference. A river with an outlet again. So if you are gray right now, do not ask yourself what is missing from your life. Ask yourself where your river stopped flowing. And then find one small outlet. One. The rest, I promise you, follows the water. And the last practice is about the clock. The gray life has a particular relationship with time. It lives everywhere except now. It lives in the past, replaying what was lost, what went wrong, what used to be better. And it lives in the future, rehearsing fears, waiting for appointments, dreading what is coming. And the present, the only place where enjoyment has ever existed or could ever exist, sits empty. You cannot enjoy the past. You can only miss it or regret it. You cannot enjoy the future. You can only fear it or wait for it. Joy has exactly one address, and it is now. And most people over 60 spend almost no time at that address. My grandfather had a saying for when he caught someone's eyes going far away in the middle of a good moment. He would say gently, "Come back. We are here." 4 words. Come back. We are here. And I want to give those words to you as a tool. When you catch yourself in the middle of a decent moment, drifting into the old rooms of the past or the worry rooms of the future, say it to yourself. Come back. We are here. The sun is on the table. The coffee is warm. The bird is on the wire. This moment, This exact, unremarkable moment is not the waiting room. This is the appointment. It always was. 70 years of appointments, and most of us missed nearly all of them waiting for something bigger. Do not miss today's. It is happening right now, all around you, quietly, the way it always has been. Come back. We are here. I want to end by telling you where my grandfather learned those words, because the story is the whole teaching in one picture. He learned them from his own grandfather on a fishing morning when he was a boy. They were on the water before dawn, and the fish were not biting, and my grandfather, being young, was complaining about the cold, about the waiting, about wanting to be somewhere else. And the old man let him complain for a while, and then he said, "Look around you, boy." And my grandfather looked. The mist was on the water. The first light was turning everything silver and gold. Birds were waking up in the reeds. The whole world was performing a ceremony that most of humanity was sleeping through. And the old man said, "You are sitting inside a morning that will never happen again. Not once, in all the time that is left, will this exact morning come back. The mist will never hang exactly this way again, and you are spending it wishing you were somewhere else." Then he said the words, "Come back, we are here." And my grandfather told me that something shifted in him that morning that never fully shifted back. He started seeing mornings, actually seeing them. And he caught no fish that day, and he called it, for the rest of his life, one of the best days he ever had. That is what I want for you. Not better events, better eyes. The mornings are already coming to your window, one after another, each one unrepeatable, each one performing whether you watch or not. The tea is already warm. The bird is already on the fence. The life you have been waiting to enjoy has been arriving daily, on schedule, for 70 years, and it is not discouraged, and it will come again tomorrow. All that was ever missing was you. So come back. We are here, and it is so much better here than you remember. If what you heard today stayed with you, the book is there. The Native Way, 20 teachings, 100 pages, written the way I would speak to you if we were sitting together. Scan the QR code on the screen with your phone or find the link in the comments. Read one chapter. Sit with it. Now I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, what is the one small ceremony you are going to start tomorrow morning? I read every comment. And if this is the kind of conversation you have been looking for, subscribe to this channel. We are not collecting viewers here. We are collecting people who remember. Come back next week. I am not done teaching yet.